Ahoy there, listeners, and welcome back to the Captain's Horror Meltdown. My name's Cammie. I am your captain on this horror-related film journey, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Jon, who is this week, or this episode, sorry, Jon.
Let's not put too much pressure on us.
Is the boatswain.
Ooh, I presume you've researched boatswain.
Well, not greatly, but he would say be in charge of inspecting the sails on the ship.
Okay.
And
do we have sails? We're
making sure
we're not like motor powered then.
No, I also responsible for lowering and raising the anchor. So it doesn't matter if you've got sails or not. I mean, a modern boat surely still needs to drop anchor somewhere.
You would think so.
Quite an important job, Jon.
Well, you've made me a little bit nervous, to be honest. I'm not sure I'm up to the task of this.
And so, after the misery of... What's the misery? Why am I saying the misery? The horror of Man Bites Dog last episode, we are moving on. The link this time is Belgium, and we are moving on to Raw from 2016. Is it Belgian? It was shot in Belgium.
Well, it does say it's a French-Belgian horror film.
Yeah, well, still. It's got the word Belgium in it, so I think that's the link enough for us.
Christ, this research has got off to a very poor start.
But before we move on to the film, how's your last couple of weeks been?
Last week was pretty busy.
Oh, you've been to see a horror film as well, haven't you?
I've been to see several, I think, technically. Depending on how you look at it. Most significantly, went to see Suspiria with Goblin doing a live score.
For a split second there, I thought you were going to say you went to see the new Suspiria, and I was like, how the fuck has he fucking pulled that off?
Yeah, I was going to telling me. Yeah, I was going to clear that up very quickly. I have not seen the new. I've seen the old Suspiria.
Yeah, of course, with a Goblin. Yep. Well,
technically
not Goblin.
Claudio Simonetti's Goblin, I think it's called.
Yeah,
that's a part of the Edinburgh Festival. Again, that will give away quite how late these episodes come out. As I'm sure the festival will be long gone by the time you hear this. In fact, it might even be approaching next year's festival. I don't really know. So yeah, that was really good fun. I've never been to a live score film showing before. And
how did he do it? Because we had discussed this off air.
Yeah. The audio of the film was there, like all the dialogue was there. Right. And then you couldn't really tell if the music was actually there or not, because Goblin were so fucking loud that when they started playing, like anything could have been happening in the soundtrack on the film. But it was pretty cool.
And you went to 2 Goblin gigs on the same day?
No, decided against it. I mean, originally they did 2 showings of Suspiria, and the original plan was also to do 2 showings of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
But the Dawn of the Dead ones just suddenly kind of disappeared and were replaced with the greatest hits set instead.
Probably not pop. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was like the Suspiria was like a no-brainer, and like both of those showings sold out. And then we chatted about Dawn of the Dead, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be honest, I just don't want to sit and watch Dawn of the Dead.
That is scandalous
I've seen it
for a horror film
so many times, man.
I know.
And it's not a snappy film, let's be honest.
No, but I mean, I reckon that one day we'll get around to it again. And in fact, do you know what? Surely the cut that had the Argento, the Goblin soundtrack on it, Argento's cut.
Yeah, it's about 90 minutes,
was actually snappier.
Yeah,
it was cut right down, wasn't it?
That was a lot shorter, like borderline hour. I think.
Yeah. Keep the gore, but just like plow on through the action.
Yeah, have you actually watched the Argento version of it?
No, I don't think I ever have actually.
I think it was on that original Arrow release, but I think it was an SD, and I'd already not I was already like out of the standard definition world, but then I just couldn't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it is in that. Is that in the sort of the 4-disc version? I've got a copy of that kicking about somewhere. I should have taken an opportunity to sell it like you did while the prices were high. But I don't think it's been reissued out over here yet, has it?
No,
have Arrow put out a copy?
No, I think it's come out in the States, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a curious thing with Arrow, because they've actually been on a bit of a re-release bender over this last year, especially with the Argento stuff that they put out.
Yeah.
Because there's a new Cat of Nine Tails, new Deep Red, a new Phenomena. So yeah,
New Phenomena was lovely. That box, I did get that.
Yeah, so I mean, I got all of those, and they are really nice. Because I think the thing with Arrow when they first released them is they were just basically given the material, and it was like, that's what you've got, and that was it. So they've actually gone back and done proper restorations now that they've got a bit of cash behind them, I guess.
It does feel a bit. It feels. I have to say, it feels a bit harsh as a horror fan to be. You know, we're always pretty early adopters with new formats.
Yeah.
We're quick into DVD, we're quick into Blu Ray, and you kind of feel you're getting stung a bit by buying the Blu Ray the first time round, and then basically a couple of years down the line, they're like, "Oh, here's a better Blu Ray of the one that you already bought." It's
yeah,
like,
but you know,
I can see why.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just it feels annoying.
All you need to do is look at the music industry.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Now that's getting ripped to pieces. I mean, the amount of albums I've bought on tape, vinyl, and CD, and then probably gone back and bought remastered versions. Yeah, remastered versions and stuff. So, you know, it's a sound business model, I would say. But no, it's been a hell of a week of films for me altogether, I have to say.
Yeah, I was going to say you've also been to see something quite sharky.
Yeah, well, before that, I went to see. Actually, I was 4 trips to the cinema in a week.
Holy shit!
Which is, I rarely manage 4 trips in a year, let alone a week. But yeah, I took Alexander to see Incredibles 2, and then the next day, the Teen Titans movie.
Yes.
Well, I was not looking forward to the Teen Titans movie, but it was actually really quite good. It was quite funny. I quite enjoyed it.
I heard that as well. Verti had taken his nephew to see it, and I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'd recommend it if you've got. Well, to be honest, I was going to say if you don't have kids, but it's pretty creepy. Just
you're going to look fucking weird sitting in a kid's film.
And there was a guy came in on his own, which I think I said on one of our chats. He looked exactly like the comic book guy out of The Simpsons. He ambled up and took a seat on his own. I was like, oh no.
Oh God.
So there's that, but then just went to see The Meg.
Good.
I enjoyed it.
I do like a shark movie.
Yeah, I love a shark film. And this is a properly big shark, let's be honest.
He's a big laddie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Big laddie.
Big chap.
Oof.
But yeah, it was entertaining guff, I think is probably the best way. Which was always going to be, I suppose. But the true horror lay in the cinema-going audience. Now, I have not been to an opening weekend film for a while, let alone gone on a Saturday afternoon. So it was totally sold out, full of bell ends, really. But the worst one was, Hamish and I went in to the film, and there was like a woman sitting in one of our seats.
Classic, straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. I just started for 10. I said, I think that's our seat there. I didn't even say, I think that's my seat. It's like, that is my seat. Because I just said, I was quite tired. And she goes, I'll just check my email to see what seat I'm in. I was like, no, I'm actually holding the ticket with the seat number. Yeah. It's like, totally. Put your phone away, because you don't need to know that. There's obviously one spare seat there, so what you need to do with your son is like move down to that seat, and then you're both in the correct seats. So that happened. But the absolute worst thing, I've witnessed some annoying behaviour in a cinema before, but this was unbelievable. At one point, she rustled through her handbag, took out a nail file, and started filing her nails.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what in God's name? And like, even her son turned round to her and said, Mum, you're going to have to stop that. But all she did was start doing it slower. So it was like... So I had to turn around to her and say, "Excuse me, could you please stop doing that?" And she looked at me like I just shit in her handbag. It was unbelievable, man. It's like, I'm not in the wrong here, surely.
No.
Surely to God. So that was an inexplicable... So, I mean, yes, that's been my... It's a hefty week of cinema going.
I also got to the cinema last week, and I went to see a horror film as well. Esme and I went to see Hotel Transylvania 3.
Ah.
It's not really a horror film, but slightly horror related.
It's got horror chaps
monsters.
In it.
Yeah, totally. And it was pretty good fun.
Was it? Did it stand up to the first two?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Leave it at that.
Totally. Took our neighbour's kid as well for some added pressure.
Bonus.
Yeah. And obviously it was eye-wateringly expensive.
Yep.
But
were there many snacks taken?
Well, my neighbour's daughter brought very thoughtfully brought over some little bags of sweets that she'd made up, a little pick and mix that she made up herself.
Oh, nice.
But I was worried about the rustliness of those bags, but the sweets were all wolfed before the trailers.
Yeah.
There was also a box of popcorn and a couple of party-sized buckets of pop. You know, even a small juice in the cinema is massive.
It's huge, yeah.
Totally.
I remember I once asked for a small whatever, and it was like, we don't do a small. It's like, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Well, can you give me the smallest one that you do, please?
Yeah.
But the film was enjoyable enough that I didn't really begrudge it at all. So
I was absolutely astonished by the amount of people that were sitting in the cinema with rakes of food they had bought at the cinema.
Oh no, it's wild, isn't it?
There was the woman beside me had a hot dog and nachos, and I was like,
that must have cost you about a tenner.
Oh, easily, man.
Shit. The only other thing I would say is, in sort of very exciting news, that I now have a bar in my house.
Yes.
You've seen lots of photos of the said bar. And also, it means that I can watch, because it's in effectively my lounge now, has a couple of thousand records in it, turntables, ceiling mounted projector with a surround sound system, and a bar in it now.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I can sit at the bar and watch a film.
Yeah, I don't think I can fit a bar in. I suppose if I got rid of the couch, I could get a bar in, maybe.
Yeah, get rid of the couch.
What do you need couches for these days? Nothing.
Exactly. Well, if you've got a bar, absolutely fuck all.
That is the captain's top tip. Replace your sofas with bars.
Totally. I thoroughly recommend it. My liver is not recommending it. Alright, with all that said, shall we get on with the film?
Let's do it. What is it? So
it's Raw from 2016, as I said at the top of the show. Related to our last film, Man Bites Dog, by way of Belgium. I was actually quite interested. I think both of us took hardly any notes while we were watching it.
No, next to none. Yeah, the thing is...
And it's been quite hard to research any information on it.
Yeah, there's not much out there. And I think, the thing with taking notes is... A, I'm not a big fan of doing it anyway, and B, this is a subtitled film.
Yeah, you've got to be paying attention the whole time.
Yeah, you've got to kind of know what's going on. So yeah, my notes are sporadic and weird, I think is probably the best way I can put it.
It'd be good if you just written sporadic and weird. Those are where your notes.
That's actually not a bad surmising of this film. Interesting. I think the most interesting thing about this film is, and I'm hoping this crops up quite a bit, but this is the first one that neither of us had seen.
Hey, there you go.
So I was quite excited about that.
I was very excited about that. Well, the sort of one of the first things that I'd actually noticed about the film when I was having a look at it, for some information about it, was that it's actually not called Raw in France.
Correct.
It's called Grave.
Yeah, weird.
Which is weird, and I actually wasn't able to find out any more information about that, or if there's some sort of translation problem, or if there's, I don't know. Why would it be called Grave? We're talking. How would you summarise this? Young high school leaver going off to university for the first time. She's been a lifelong vegetarian. She's going off to vet school, which her mum and dad graduated from.
Yeah,
and
who
her
are
big
curiously
sister,
only known as Mum and Dad throughout the film.
Mum and Dad. Yeah. And who's... Oh, the dad's a bit weird, isn't he?
A bit.
But and her big sister's already there. She pitches up for the new for her first term. She's quite clearly been a bit of a whiz kid at school. She knows her shit. She's also a bit of a dork, I would say. Bit of a dork.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bit of a brainiac, maybe.
Yep.
And she is instantly tied into the Freshers' Week hazing of the new students. It's pretty fucking wild.
It is quite wild. Is hazing an American term?
It is an American term, yeah, and I think it's a big thing in colleges in the States. But is it anywhere? Is it here? Is it anywhere else? We've got some kind of weird traditions in Scotland at some of the universities. I think St Andrews has some sort of fight or something, and Glasgow Uni, they all throw flour around or something like that. Or do you know there's like a few things like that, but there's no real hazing as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
and certainly, I mean, this is pretty fucking wild, and en masse as well. It looks like nobody escapes the hazing.
Oh, absolutely not.
And it's completely sanctioned by the university.
Yeah, I was watching. It's like, whoa, what is happening here? This is insanity.
What the fuck is happening?
It's like,
and
I think when I went away to study, I think I just had some booze from memory
and some acid.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a misadventure when we were off to university.
Well,
fun we had.
as you always would.
So yeah, but she goes off to university, gets hazed, during which said hazing, she's forced to eat a rabbit's kidney.
It's some offal. It's kidney, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never eaten. It seems to be in alcohol. It's pickled or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and she, being a lifelong vegetarian, and gets a taste not just for flesh, but for human flesh. And the story unfolds from there. So yeah, first time writer-director. We're going to murder a couple of these names as well. I'm quite looking forward to getting some American films in the future.
That's why I think as the captain of the ship, you should really.
Yeah, I'll mangle them. Yeah, make me sound like some old racist or something. Julia Ducournau.
That sounds fine.
Quite a first movie to come up with.
Absolutely.
Writer, director. Whew, what a belter. And then we have Garance Marillier.
Marillier sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. In the lead role of Justine.
Also sounds a bit like Marillion, which I like.
It does sound a bit like Marillion. And that was her first lead role. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, she's great in this. Absolutely
she's fucking
great.
Brilliant. Totally fucking absolutely nails that. Everything about the character, actually, the sort of innocence and all the rest at the start, and then she fucking goes with it, doesn't she?
The downward slide, yeah. There was one interesting fact. I think it's when she's in her kind of withdrawal kind of thing in the bed, and
yes,
and the director, who I'm going to call Julia from now on, actually got her to watch the withdrawal sequence from Trainspotting
that makes sense, actually. Is that the scene when she's sort of writhing under the covers and sort of hallucinating?
Yeah.
Cool scene.
That's one of the few facts I came across in this film.
Well, here's a fact with Garance, about Garance, and prepare to be terrified. She was born in 1998.
Excuse me?
She was born in 1998.
Oh, you're having a laugh.
No, she was 18 when the film was shot in 2016.
That's terrible.
Utterly terrifying. Utterly.
You know, it's one of those things that makes you feel old, is when you're maybe signing up for a website or whatever. And you have to go further and further down that drop menu.
Box.
Yeah.
Oh God.
When were you born?
It's awful.
Like, oh my God.
No, she was absolutely brilliant. I was actually blown away by her. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. And then her big sister, I'm confident with this name, Ella Rumpf.
Yep, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and she's a Swiss actress, which is interesting. But obviously, grew up in. She's probably fluent in French and German. She's Swiss, so you go, and then the other lead role, Adrian, her gay roommate, played by Rabba Nate.
He's actually really good as well. He's great.
He's brilliant as well. I mean, it's a great, like, it's actually, considering, I mean, there are a lot of characters in it, there's a lot going on, but I mean, the three of them really hold the whole thing together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant performances, brilliant, all very young actors as well. All born in the 90s as well.
Yep, terrifying. Move on.
Deary me. Absolutely terrifying. But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I didn't actually know anything going into it except the sort of. In fact, I actually hadn't heard of the film at all until. Is it too early to call him friend of the podcast, Dave?
Friend of the previous podcast, Dave.
Friend of the previous podcast.
Awaiting confirmation of friendship of. Well, no, I think I was aware of the film.
It was you that suggested the film for its cannibalistic.
I do remember suggesting it.
I'm surprised it got by me, actually, at the time.
Yeah, and I knew about it, and then for some, oh God, this is going to sound like such a fucking Luddite, but I do need to be in a special place to watch a film with subtitles these days.
Yeah, that's because you're knackered the whole time from looking after kids.
Yeah, probably. It was nice to sort of like, right, we're watching this film, that's the end of the story. So I made the decision to start watching it reasonably early in the night.
Yeah.
Before the beers had taken hold, and I had to use the hand over eye technique to see the subtitles.
Oh, torture.
It's one of those films that I thought it's going to be a mood film, and I have never seen it. I didn't know what that mood was going to be. It's kind of like Neon Demon. I've still not watched that because I think I'm going to need to be in a certain mood to watch it. I don't know what that is. But at the same time,
I love Neon Demon. Neon Demon.
I think Mother fell into the same category, and then one night I just kind of watched it. I thought, I'm just going to watch it, and God, I loved that. It's fucking bonkers.
That's absolutely nuts, isn't it? I know I've said previously, I sort of have been somewhat of a lapsed horror fan, but been back into horror stuff, certainly back into horror stuff at the time this came out, and to have missed what seems to have been quite headline grabbing, news about how violent it was, how graphic it was. I'm surprised that it skipped me by. I don't recall it being out in the cinema at all, and I don't really remember reading anything about it. I mean, it was Mark Commode's film of the year, apparently.
Yeah, that's a pretty big recommendation.
I would have, I should have noticed it, really. But I came into it not knowing anything except for vegetarian vet school cannibalism. And that was it. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic little piece. I'm actually looking forward to watching it again, really. There are a lot going on in it. I mean, for a proper, enjoyable from a sort of, grubby horror film fan's point of view, it's got everything there, but it's also like, properly trying to say something, and it's got a lot of smart things to say. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I was surprised when I was sort of reading about it that it had such a rep for being so graphic, with apparently people fainting at screenings and stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't really strike me as particularly graphic or horrendous. I mean, there's some horrendous stuff in it, and it does get a bit nasty at times, but actually I think probably the bit I found worst was her eating the raw chicken breast.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, she's going to have a bad arse.
Gonna regret that in the morning, love.
She is going to be sick, she's going to spew a lot, and she's going to be shitting liquid for a while.
Is it after that she actually spews hair, or is that before?
Yeah.
It's after that,
what is going on with the hair?
That's one of the nastiest bits in it for me, because that was just horrendous.
Jesus.
I suppose we haven't actually really talked about much more of the plot.
No, I suppose so. She, as always, guys, we're going to stop mentioning it, but we're never going to be really giving spoiler warnings here at all. We're just going to be talking about the film.
No, basically, if you press play on this podcast, it's a spoiler. It's a spoiler. Alert. Yeah, it's a spoiler. Yeah, so she gets she gets into the sheets, and then basically it all kicks off. It's a sort of coming of age film, I guess, isn't it? Sort of transitioning, moving into adulthood.
moving away from home, everything that's going on. There's, the introduction of sex, lust, body image stuff, being conformist, non-conformist. Like, how are you going to let your life go? And she then starts to she starts to sort of
she eats the kidney, and I think it's later. I think it's that night she develops a hellish looking rash. I've got to be honest.
That was
absolutely
horrible.
Horrific. And goes
but
to
the doctor says it's food poisoning. Can you get a rash like that from food poisoning?
I have no idea, but I've had food poisoning once, and I certainly didn't get a rash.
No,
unless it was in the vomit and shit that was coming out of me. But so she gives her a cream and sends her on her way.
Topical cream.
Yeah, so that'll do you. And I think, so she starts to have cravings for meat, which she's obviously quite upset about being a vegetarian. I think it's her sister takes her to an all-night garage so she can eat some meat in private.
No, it's not her sister, it's her roommate.
Is that her roommate?
Takes her off to eat some shawarma.
Yeah, that was it. Looked delicious.
Nice touch. I do like a bit of shawarma.
Yeah,
it's very weird. Lots of very weird petrol station as well.
It is.
There's a lot of strangeness in this film. Almost feels like it's something to do with maybe the location as well. It's a really cool location, the main location. It's very sort of weird, retro futuristic or something.
I think the action's got a very kind of dreamlike quality to it.
Like even when they're out in the countryside, when you see the car crashes being caused, everything looks very bleak. Do you know what I mean? Very
absolutely.
Flat and grey and bleak, and it's just got a touch of the sort of futuristic stroke, weirdly post-apocalyptic, but not quite like. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we've had a very mild post-apocalyptic scenario or something.
It's got a very strange look to it. But really interesting. Like, almost as soon as the film starts, actually, I think even that first shot, you're like, oh, this is good. This is going to look amazing, which it does throughout. I don't know if it's the same night or whatever, same day. She finds the same cream in her sister's cabinet that was given to her. Yes. And then what follows there is a scene that I was just like, what the fuck is going on, when her sister decides to give her a bikini wax.
What? I know. Jeez. I was actually sat there thinking, are sisters that close? Generally, I mean, is that normal or that's a horrible scene though. Holy shit!
So strange. Like the wax, she can't get the pubic hair off with the wax, and then this is just so weird.
She's going to tear the skin or something.
Tries to cut the wax off her pubic hair, and then Justine kicks her off. But the sort of thing, Alexia cuts her finger off. And then Justine just fucking eats the finger.
Oh.
In a scene where you just it's one of those things, you're holding a beer and then don't take a drink for another 10 minutes. Like, what the fuck just happened there?
Well, you were watching the film about 20-25 minutes ahead of me, and you just sent a message of this sort of smiley with the shocked face with the eyes open. And I was like, oh boy, okay. I'm heading towards some greatness here.
And that's when you sort of get the idea, because I remember seeing from the trailer the interesting forced car crash stuff, and so it's her sister basically runs into the road as the car's approaching. The car veers off the road, crashes into a tree, and then her sister Alexia starts eating the dead victims. And that's when you kind of first, they're basically in the same situation. Maybe some sort of hereditary thing or whatever it is. It just spirals from there, and she bites a guy's lip off at a party.
Oh, the lip.
This is just fucking horrendous, and her teeth start falling out. And then
she eats her tooth. Her tooth falls out, and she eats it again.
And then she confesses all this stuff to her gay roommate, and they end up shagging after that.
But he's trying to stop her biting him while they're shagging.
She's trying to get her teeth into him. Then
as she climaxes, she bites herself. It's fucking wild. Wild.
Now, the next bit of my notes, I get confused because all it says is "horse fans look away now."
Oh, it must be the bit when they're lifting the horse up in the with the crane.
I kind of almost forgotten where that happens in the timeline.
But it's just like, yeah. I mean, I read a fairly wild. I think it was.
Was that earlier in the film? Actually, the horse thing.
It might have been. Yeah,
it's part of the hazing. I think. Like, yeah.
I was on the on Metacritic looking at reviews. There's a 0-star review of it. I think it's the only negative review, and the person is fucking raging about that film.
Oh, really?
They absolutely loathe it. I think they completely. Yeah, they're missing the point quite significantly, and quite possibly shouldn't be reviewing anything over the rating of PG from the looks of things. But yeah, basically they accused him of torturing the horse. But I mean, it was actually shot in the main location was the vet school at the University of Liège.
Yeah. So
I'm sure that all the animal stuff that was happening, well, certainly there would be no cruelty.
No.
Animal cruelty involved. And I mean, it just looks pretty wild that they're lifting a horse up with a crane, but how else the fuck are you supposed to lift a horse up?
So it's a heavy beast.
It's a heavy beast. You're just like, when's she going to get caught, basically? There's so much shit going on. But I think maybe the fact that it's hazing week means that she's getting away with a lot of stuff that she wouldn't. And then she ends up in that big fight with her sister on the roof.
Oh, that's mental. Yeah, because she wakes up, I think it's the morning after a party. And like she wakes up and everyone's staring at her and whispering behind her back, and she's like, "What's this?" And someone shows her a video they shot on their phone.
Yes.
Of her
trying to eat a corpse.
Yes.
In the morgue. Whilst on her hands and knees like a dog.
But it's like a party in a morgue.
A party, yeah.
Or something. It's, oh God, the whole thing just starts to become a bit sort of dreamlike in a way. It's just so weird, man.
It is pretty trippy. It's obviously completely fantastical, but it feels very grounded in reality in a lot of ways as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sort of day-to-day existence at uni and the halls and just the sort of the way everyone looks and their interactions when they're not all trying to eat each other or whatever, all really works.
Yeah,
it's fucking great.
I think great. It's sort of, I think in terms of what happens, we come to the climax and Justine eventually kills Adrian, her roommate. Well, she wakes up and just finds...
And he's dead.
Yeah, a massive chunk out of his leg, I think, if I remember correctly.
And her sister gets the blame for it and ends up in jail.
Yeah, I forgot the fight that she has with her sister before that, where she bites part of her face off.
Yeah.
In public, no less.
In public, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was like a sort of school fight scenario with everyone sort of watching as well. Like, you just like, Jesus, part of your face bitten off. Wild. Wild.
And I suppose it all sort of culminates when Justine goes to visit her parents whilst Alexia is in prison for like the A-team for a crime she didn't commit. And then it's when her dad reveals that the same thing happened with her mother, who they're still apparently happily married. And just takes off his shirt and he is covered in wounds,
scars and bites, and
so it's obviously something that gets passed down, we're presuming, the female side of the family and stuff. So.
Yeah, and he just sort of tells her it's all right. You'll find out some way of dealing with it.
Yeah, simple
like
as
your
that.
Like your mother did.
Yeah, and oh God, I am the solution. It's like a fucking poor solution, but and that's basically. It's basically end film, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's quite a stunner when it happens. It took me by surprise. Anyway, although I did wonder about her sister. Obviously, it was the two of them. But yeah, holy shit, her dad's a
bit of a trooper.
Like, totally man. He really does love that woman, doesn't he?
Certainly does. She must be amazing in bed, is all I can think.
Oh yeah, she must be, absolutely. Christ Almighty, what punishment he's taken.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be keen on a blowjob though.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
Well, we didn't see. We didn't see his Bobby. His Bobby His Bobby might well be away already. I've got no idea. So yeah, I was very, very happy at the end of the film. Not happy with the film. I was
going to say.
Do you know what I mean?
That was your ideal outcome.
No, I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed the film. Completely took me by surprise. I'm glad I went into it not really knowing anything about it.
Yeah,
and it really wasn't the film that I thought it was going to be. Absolutely fantastic. It definitely gets a couple of thumbs up from me anyway, and well worth watching.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I was entranced all the way through it.
For a first time movie.
Absolutely insane.
That's
Which
fucking
brings
brilliant.
me to the weird thing I noticed today.
Oh yeah, what's that?
This is our fourth one so far.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, this will apply to our fifth film. All the films so far, apart from one, have been debut features.
Oh, there you go. I hadn't even thought about that.
Just popped into my head today. I was like, hang on. Yeah, so everything apart from Martyrs, I think, has been, and that was only a second feature, which is about as close to the first one you can get.
Yeah. Shit. Seemed to see that the budget was, they reckon it was €3.5 million.
Yeah.
Online. So, yeah, quite a feat. Because it's got some good effects in it as well. It's got some good practical effects in there as well.
Yep, again, we're always advocates of practical effects, and this film does not disappoint, I have to say.
But I would love to find out more about the film. I'd love to find out more about the making of it and more about the special effects work and more. But it's just, we'll come on to our Blu-ray review straight after this, I suppose.
I mean, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It's beautiful. It's quite subtly shot, but I think that's got a lot of, it's really powerful these days when you see films that aren't full of swooping cranes and all that jazz. It feels quite real, even though it's completely unreal. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it.
I'm trying to find out who the DOP wasn't actually, but here he is. Ruben Impens. Let's see what else he's done. Big Rubes.
Big old Rubers.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, he did an episode of Black Mirror, season 1.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but maybe one to look out for in the future.
If you're a DOP fan.
If you're a DOP fan, then, yeah. Ruben Impens is your man. Great. Well, we take a very brief break and then come back for the Blu-ray review.
Yep, we'll come back after the adverts that don't exist.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Welcome back, folks. Hope you enjoyed that break as much as we did. I feel very refreshed. So onwards and upwards with a review of the Blu-ray, which, as John just said to me before we came back on, will be very, very, very brief indeed. Potentially very brief indeed.
Okay.
We've got a little bit to talk about. I reckon. This film, so in the UK anyway, it was weirdly an HMV exclusive. I don't really get what that entirely means.
Was it?
Yeah.
So only HMV released it on Blu-ray. You could only get it through HMV?
Yeah. But you seem to be able to buy it on Amazon, no problem at all, as well. But yeah, HMV. But I mean, I guess there are a lot of HMV stores, but they also have FOP, so it's available in FOP as well. But I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I got mine. I can't remember if mine was actually.
I picked mine up from CEX.
Yeah, I think I got mine second hand as well.
Yeah. And it's a Universal Blu-ray. And holy shit, it is bare bones.
Oh yeah.
We've got the movie. We've got forced. Do you know what? I couldn't believe it's that forced trailers as well.
Yep.
At the start, 3 trailers, and I fell foul of choosing the language at the very start as well.
Now you mocked me when I did this for Inglourious Bastards in our last podcast.
I chose French because it said original version after French, so I thought, it's weird it's asking me so early on whether I want to watch it in French or not. Like when I went to watch a dubbed version, I didn't realise there was no English version on it, so I chose French, and then all the menus were in French after that.
Got confused. Not that there's many menus to get through.
No, well, there's none because there are absolutely 0 extras on this disc. Absolutely none at all. It's completely devoid of extras, which is, I have to say, pretty disappointing. But aside from that, and we're not going to have much to talk about here either, the sound and picture quality, both excellent.
Yep.
As you'd expect for a brand new film that was shot digitally. There's nothing. There's not there's going to be any flaws in the picture.
We can't add much to that, to be honest.
And it certainly looks like there's not been much sort of digital or much sort of fucking around with the actual image at all. It doesn't seem to have been. Maybe it's been graded down a notch a bit to sort of wash it out a little bit, make it look a little bit sort of more bleak. But I don't know
I'm sure
if
there
not.
would have been some heavy grading in post, but all just part of the film, really. But yeah, there's fuck all on this. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely zero. If you
it does show off the cinematography beautifully. The picture is great. It's DTS soundtrack as you would expect. And yeah, I mean, it's a shame because looking back at the Martyrs one, it was like really. Although all the extras were like in standard definition, it was really insightful. And again, like reading, there's not much to read about this film. We'd quite like to have a bit of at least a wee sneak peek into the production of it.
It is, interestingly enough, I went over to the sort of DVD comparison site to have a look and see if all the versions were the same. And so UK, Germany, Scandinavia, Spain, we all got the same terrible Universal Pictures Blu-ray.
And Universal aren't strangers to bare bones discs. Let's be honest.
They're not. No, it's just the whole navigation system on their discs is really fucking annoying. Do you know what I mean? All the symbols that they've got on the side.
Pointless.
I'm like, just fucking write the word. just write audio. I don't have a little speaker on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what time are you trying to save? Jesus Christ. But interestingly enough, in France, it was released by Warner. And then in Australia, it was released by a Blu-ray company called Monster Pictures.
Okay.
Never heard of them. But both of them are heavily laden with extras. Australian version has most extras. The French one has slightly less extras, but everything's in French with obviously no subtitles. It's not English friendly at all. Yeah. So really, the Australian version would be the version to go for if you're not a French speaker. And it's got some brilliant stuff in it. So it's got a full commentary by the director.
Oh, Jesus.
With a film critic as well, Emma Westwood. It's got in-discussion featurette with the director and the critic. It's got the Australian premiere Q&A. It's got the Australian premiere introduction that was done. It's got a panel with female genre filmmakers. It has a publicity stunt thing on it. It's got deleted scenes. It's got and it's got an alternative opening as well.
Bloody hell!
But as I was saying, and I'd be really interested to watch that Blu-ray because I'd love to see all that stuff. I would say if you are a fan of the film, you're a fan of the film at the cinema, you don't own it already, and you do want to find out more, then maybe look at importing it from Australia, which is pretty doable these days. I've imported a few Blu-rays.
We just have very recently.
Well, we have for an upcoming episode. We'll discuss it at the time, I think. But we just got a film which sells for a very high price on Blu-ray over in the States. Yep. We picked up for $11 Australian, was it? Or £11? £11.
£11, free postage.
Free postage from Australia. And it arrived within the week.
Shadily marked as a gift.
Ah, yes, of course. Classic. Good old Aussies. Love them.
Good lads.
Love them. And that's our Blu-ray review, where weirdly we probably reviewed the version that we don't have.
Yep. Go us.
But, well, I mean, considering that it's dirt cheap now anyway, to buy on Blu-ray over here, and if you're getting it just to watch the film, then yeah, feel free to pick it up. It's good. It looks great. Time to move on to our final section.
Yes, indeed.
What would James Ferman think?
Interesting.
James Ferman, UK's head centre from the late 70s through to the mid-90s.
Yep.
I have been giving this a bit of thought, actually. I think this would have got passed unscathed.
I fully agree.
I think that although people have whinged a lot about it being graphic, and we didn't really talk about that much earlier on, did we? Really, I am. The director apparently said she was quite surprised to hear that people had fainted at screenings of it.
I'm surprised to hear that as well.
I'm surprised as well. I never believe these things though. And apparently they were handing out sick bags to people, and people were absolutely disgusted by it. And like, who are these people? Do you know what I mean? If you don't like horror films, don't go and see a horror film. I mean, I can't really think of many horror fans, real horror fans. Certainly, anyone that's listening to this podcast, I don't doubt would be fine with it. I mean, it's got some horrible stuff in it, but in a really sort of delightful way. I thought just some great effects.
Absolutely. I mean,
and I think that it's all tied in and justified within the story. Biggie for Ferman though, definitely subtitled.
Yep, subtitled foreign film,
art house crowd. I think he'd pass it uncut as well. I think we'd have got to see it.
His thought being that the people that are susceptible to these films wouldn't watch it because it was subtitled.
Yeah, exactly.
That incredible piece of logic would have seen this film through, I think. I mean, it's in colour though. That might have raised an eyebrow.
Let's have a look and see what the BBFC obviously passed it uncut now, but let's see what they're saying. They do have their insight sections, obviously.
I did have a quick look at it, and I had a quick look at it, and it's
there is a lot of sexual activity in it. Certainly referred to, and you do see some as well, but there's not a massive amount of nudity. It's all very tastefully done. None of it's exploitative, I would say, and it's a big part of the story,
Yeah, it's not done for the sake of doing it. It's
not just for being. It's not just being titillating.
It's just doing it to further the story.
It's something we might come into with future episodes actually, and I've noticed that sort of film fans. Certainly younger than us, people that didn't live through the old Ferman era and the video nasties and stuff, whinging a lot about films getting cut in the UK, and films do get cut in the UK still, and a lot of quite mainstream films get cut, but almost always now in order to get a lower certificate.
Yeah.
And it's the distributors themselves that are opting for it. The BBFC will say, yep, you can release this film uncut at 18, and they'll say, oh, we really want a 15. Okay, well, if you cut this and this out, you can get a 15. Well, both of us have the same stance on censorship. We're, not really for it at all. If you make a film, an adult film, then, let adults see it uncut. Yeah. Which I think the BBFC in general do now. But yeah, it's a very different story with people get very upset that the BBFC cut it. Red Sparrow recently, for instance, was cut to make it a 15, and people get upset. Oh, the BBFC cut this, but you should be arguing with the makers of the film who want to sell as many tickets as possible.
Absolutely, it's like even going back to seeing the Meg the weekend. It came to light that
there's a big story. This, wasn't it? Yeah,
and actually, the director himself, it wasn't. This stuff wasn't in the film at all to start with. The director himself cut out. Apparently, there's like lots of really wild gore that they'd sort of started working on. I think they were about halfway through, and then they reviewed it, and it's like. And I got to be honest, I agree with them. Like hardcore gore would have been odd in that film. It would have been way out of tone with the rest of the film. So fair enough. And they've also said, you'll never see it because A, it was unfinished, and B, we're not going to spend millions more as a special feature when we release the Blu Ray because it's just not financially reasonable.
Yeah.
And I've got to agree, if I'm looking at the deaths and stuff and that, and if there was blood spraying around, it would have been a really tonally odd film because it is just set up as a kind of action chase film. And it would have been strange if there was blood, because it's not tonally silly like Piranha 3D was or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have looked out of place. From what I can tell, the director made the decision not to put it in. So, and which if he had put it in, I'm sure the distributor would have cut it out anyway.
Yeah, obviously this did get past completely unscathed. I think that Ferman would have done the same as well. I'd maybe not say that it was our lowest rating of Ferman just raising an eyebrow. I'd maybe say he was nodding his head as well.
You think he was a little upset?
But I think he'd been put very much at ease by the fact that it was clearly a well-made film that wasn't exploitative and probably wasn't going to be watched by people that wouldn't read subtitles.
Yep. That'd be his whole vibe. I completely agree.
Probably a raised eyebrow then.
Or at some point wanking into a sock.
Yeah, totally. Well, is he going to get to that level? Is he going to get to wanking into a sock?
I don't even know what that level is anymore. It's just, I think we just float it as a random level.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our episode on Raw, I guess. So we should probably say what our next film is and what the link will be. Mm-hmm. So we next episode we are moving on to Bone Tomahawk. I think for any horror film fan out there, they'll probably be able to pinpoint almost straight away what the link is there, and the link is cannibalism.
It is indeed.
I have only supposed to see. I've only seen this film once before.
Me
so
too.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing it again. And I'll have a reasonably interesting story to tell about it as well.
Oh, nice. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Which is a fairly tragic tale, but never mind.
Oh, God.
Yes. So if you're listening along and following us, you can... you should watch Bone Tomahawk for the next episode. And actually, having said that, if you want to get a little sort of heads up on what's coming up in the future, something that I've been keeping updated is our list on Letterboxd, the Letterboxd website. And I have a little list on there. You can find me on there. I'm on as Bugenhagen, Buggenhagen. Very snappy. And the list is called the Captain's Horror Meltdown Podcast. I think I have tagged it with a tag of TCHM, I believe.
Okay, so folk can type that in. I'm not really familiar with Letterboxd. They
should be able to type that in, and it will show them what films we've got coming up there, so you can get a little sort of advance heads up if you would like. But anyway, next time I'll be doing Bone Tomahawk. Really looking forward to it. And I think you are too, John. Now you better go and raise the anchor so we can sail off.
Right, it's a big one.
There he goes, off he goes.
This could be a further 10 minutes. Hang on. Is that the sound they make, do you think?
Oh, God knows. It's just chain against hull, isn't it? Right,
it's coming up awfully slow. I think you should just cut this short.
Well, John raises the anchor, I'll just say goodbye. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I'm going to be here until the morning. I'll see you guys later.